Okay, let's alright, we have our project here. We have our little whale. Let me get this camera. I'm sorry. Let me get this camera. There we go. We can see it here. All right. All right, what we're going to do basically with this little project is we're just going to round it off. We're just going to, that's why I say it's a beginner's project. See how sharp that knife goes through there? Now that's a sharp knife, folks. That's what you want. See how that just comes off there? Now all we're going to do with this project is just simply round it off, which simply means we're going to round off the edges and we're going to get the saw marks off of it, and it's going to be like it's going to be flat on the back, but it's going to be you know, sort of just basically shaped a little bit on the front. That's why it's such a good beginner's project. Now of course these saw marks, we have to get all of them off, and when it comes back to the tail, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make those tails where they kind of veer off like that. In other words, see that? Where they kind of veer off like that. Just give it kind of a shape look to it there and everything like that. And I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to bring that down. Okay. Now I know a lot of you, I know a lot of you don't have band saws, and I understand that, and that's why it's so important to get in a club if you possibly can, because of the simple fact, if you get in a club, then somebody probably going to have a band saw, and maybe they can cut out some projects for you and stuff. Don't be, plus they're going to teach you how to sharpen, and that's extremely important. Okay. See how I work that down like that, in other words? And then we just come around here and work the saw marks out and stuff like that. In other words, see how that, it just gives it kind of a good look to it, in other words. Yeah, where they may have a bandsaw where they can cut your projects, and I know carvers, they love to do things like that for the carvers, and so I know I cut a lot of projects out for beginners that I work with and other people that are learning carving, because I have a bandsaw, and thing is I can't cut the problem is I used to cut out and send them to people, but the problem that you have there is the postage. The postage is just very expensive. And that's why even if a person pays the postage, it's hard to get packages out around here. And okay, now here we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come down here and we're going to bring that down. See how we're bringing that down in there? Okay, and we come over here and we just sort of bring that down and sort of take of course we have a thing here where the tail meets. We want to be sure and get these saw marks off of here. See how that turns out like that? See how that works? Get that down. Get them saw marks out of the way. And the most important thing is, like I said, is they teach you how to sharpen your knife. And as a beginner, too many beginners end up fighting their knives and fighting their stuff. See how it just takes that wood off like that? And it takes a little time to learn to sharpen. But once you learn, it's like riding a bicycle. you don't forget. So I'm just kind of running that knife along there and getting that shape going. And you also, it helps you to learn about one of the things of carving is the way the grain changes a lot of times, in other words, and because the grain changes in a lot of ways, and we want to be careful. Okay, I want to get these saw marks. You see how I just put very little pressure when I get to the end of that thing, in other words. Here we go. We're looking good. This is why this is such a great project, is because it's not a difficult project, and it's a project. See the push cut I'm using right here? I love the push cut. I mean, it's so great in certain ways of doing things. Got to get those saw marks off there. Get that. See, it didn't take long. And we come up here. I'm going to show you how this grain changes. Look at the way I cut here and everything. Now watch when I start here. See it grab? See, I can't do it. Why is that? Because the grain has changed. But if I turn around, look at that. See? Then I can. That grain works with me. You don't want to have to work against the grain. Just learn how. And I have a 15-year-old that I'm teaching now. That basically he's learning. And I noticed the other day he just takes the knife and he can tell he just switches the when he feels the grain kicking against him, he switches over, and he's just learned it. You'll learn it as you go along, you learn it as you go along. All right, and when I get into this area here, it's going to see how it works good, but you gotta be careful because the grain does change in here, especially trying to clean up these saw marks. The grain is going to change there, and then I have to go this way with it. And always be careful when you get to a corner like this, because the simple fact is everything changes. This changes several times here, so you want to be careful. But you just get used to it. You get used to when the grain changes, you'll feel it in your knife, and then you'll change it. Like I said, Max is teaching Max, and Max just takes that knife and gets after it. And he can. I used to have to tell him, "Hey, Max, you're fighting the grain. You're fighting the grain. Don't go the other way." But now I don't have to tell him a thing because he can feel it. He can feel it in his knife. He can feel it in the wood. What I mean, feel it in his knife. He can feel it when his knife digs in. Okay, we just about have come to the end of this. See, all we did was shape it. Let me get this point right here. Now, here's I'm going to go ahead and cut my just make a little cut like this, a deep cut. This is a V cut, and then you come and you make a little V cut, and look at that. You got your little mouth on your and if you want to make it a little bit wider, you just take the thing, there you go, and do that. All right, well, you see, just as easy as that. We just basically great project because it's perfect for beginners. Just here we go. Okay, now I'm going to go cut out a fin. We got a little fin that goes right here. I'm going to cut that out. The reason I didn't cut it out of 3/4 inch wood is because that doesn't need to be. 1/2 inch wood is all I need to cut it out. and then we'll carve the little fin, and we'll get this thing going. I'll tell you what, see that? That look cute? Just gonna take a little bit more off over here. And look at that. Now let me tell you something. You say, that ain't much. Let me tell you something. A lot of people that can't do carving, they love to have a little piece like this. They would. And we're going to put the little fin in. It's going to look even better. Okay? All right. God bless now. Thank you so much. And we'll do the little fin, and then we'll put it on there. And we'll get it done. Okay. God bless now.